Grove Central this year.
Yep. Like I said, after the game on Saturday evening, very disappointed with the outcome. Very happy with how our guys competed. We had an opportunity in the fourth quarter, multiple opportunities, and didn't capitalize on any of them, which is extremely frustrating and disappointing. And certainly thought that the kicking game and the defense gave us those positions for the offense to win, and the offense got themselves in a position to win a few times and just didn't finish crossing the goal line. So that was the disappointing part of it. We've moved on from there. We're obviously in conference play this week, and that is a completely different mindset because you have, unlike last week, you have complete familiarity with the opponent that you're going against. You play these guys every year. We have great respect for them. Coach does a great job with his program. They have really good football players on their team. They're a good team. I know their record is 0-2 as well. They've played 2 Power 5 teams as well. One on the road, one at home. So it's a mirror image in a lot of ways. So I certainly have a lot of respect for them, and it's good to be at home again this week. And we got back on the practice field yesterday and got good work done. I like the way our team is attacking things. I like the way they're going after this week, and they understand that how they practice is how they play. And so that's a good start to the week, and we'll have a practice here this afternoon that will be a little more extensive than yesterday's, obviously. And I expect them to come out with the same passion and energy they did yesterday. So with that, we'll open up for questions.
Little surprise both teams come in 0-2.
Oh, I guess I didn't think of it that way, Jeff.
Yeah.
Am I surprised that both teams are 0-2? Before the games on Saturday, I would have said Central, and they still did, had a heck of a chance to win that football game. So I was probably a little shocked at that outcome. But I'm not trying to take anything away from Kansas either. You look at the film with Kansas, and I know that they've had their struggles. They have good football players running on. They made some really good plays in that game. So I don't know if I'd term it as shock that both teams are 0-2. I just have never thought about it. I would have hoped not. Maybe that's the best way to put it. But we are, so you can't change it.
How much of an impact do you expect Spencer to have on the offense? Is he just how much of an impact do you think he's going to have?
Yeah, well, having Spencer back, he's an all-conference performer from last year, and he's a good wide receiver. And I think he has worked his tail off in the offseason and in the summer, and I think he's put himself in a position where if he continues to practice the way he has been and goes out and execute, then that good can go from good to great. The God-given ability is certainly there. His mind is there, so I know he's excited about the opportunity, and we're excited about it. What the impact will be, we'll have to wait until Saturday, but I know we're excited and he's excited that he's back.
Is there more work on offense this week? I mean, considering you've only got 1 touchdown so far this year.
Well, we're not going to defensive coaches come on up and help coach on offense. Everyone's got to do their job, right? But we've certainly, listen, when you score 13 points in 2 games, you're going to look at everything, no matter what it is. And we're not going to sit idly by and excuse it by, those are 2 good teams we played. We know they're 2 good teams, but we have higher expectations than 13 points in 2 games. So we've got to look at everything, and we have looked at everything, and we're going to continue. And we're going to continue to put our players in the best position to succeed. And our players do a great job of attacking the plan. So it's a matter of a little bit harder, a little more effort, and those things.
They've beaten you 4 straight years. I think at least 3 of them you finished with a better record than them. Is there something, is it just something they're doing? Is it something like in your head? Is there something more there? Just, what accounts for the streak?
I think each game is, in the past is a very different game. Just real quick off the top of my head, in 14, that really wasn't a contest, that whole game. They really had control of the entire game. In 15, I know that, I can't remember, I think we had 3 straight offensive series with a turnover. You're not going to win a lot of games doing that after having a lead at half. In 16 was an overtime game. That you're in overtime. You're going back and forth, and those overtime games are critical play here and there. And then last year it was a tale of 2 halves. We had complete control of that game, and then they took complete control of the second half and won the game. So I don't know that there's a common theme in there. I think it's 2 good teams that know a lot about each other, and you're always going to get a good 4-quarter battle out of this.
Is there any one area that's giving you more problems, that they do offensively or defensively of those games?
Well, they've changed offensively here. They're in their second year of their newer offense since Cooper Rush left. Again, I don't see a common thread in there that is you can point to. This is why they've had the success they've had versus us in the last 4 years. Certainly, no matter how it's set up, coach does a good job. They run the ball, stop the run. They're always good in the kicking game, and they're usually pretty good in the turnover battle. I know last week was the exception for them, not the rule when it comes to that. So when you're facing a team that sounds pretty familiar to how we set things up, it's going to come down to those moments. And when those moments come, you never know. Could be in the first quarter, could be in the fourth, could be in overtime. You don't know when those moments are going to come.
Coach, we saw Ty Harmston get a little more involved on offense. What have you liked from him?
Yeah, well, I thought Ty played really well this last week. He played upwards of 80 snaps, and we had to because of what they did schematically. We needed him on the field, and I thought that he played really well. Played really hard. Kid was exhausted at the end of the game, and he gave everything he could to us. Now there are some things that he needs to improve on, and I know he's going to go to work and do that. I'm just excited about the kid and how he's leading and how he's attacking this.
Coach, would you comment on Sutton's play? It looked like just typical Sutton Smith Saturday, and Matt Lorbeck really impressed me. And it seems like they're generally on opposite sides quite often. Just describe how they complement each other, both coming off those 2 edges there.
Well, I really think the 4 defensive ends that played in the game, all 4 of them had a sack. And so Mike Kennedy, the redshirt freshman, got really a little more time than he did at Iowa. Obviously, with Draquan Brown being out for the season, that led to him being in the depth chart. Obviously, you noticed Matt, but then Quentin, I think, had back-to-back sacks in the half. Quentin Wynn. And then, obviously, Sutton. And I think that position is a strength for us. Sutton is a relentless competitor in practice, and that comes out in the games as well. That's just, there isn't a lot of fanciness to it. There isn't a lot of X and O's. That's more about Jimmys and Joes right there. And sometimes that's the best defense is your Jimmy versus their Joe.
Coach, what do you think of Childers' play this week, and have you thought about a change going forward?
Obviously, you think we should change, huh? No, I don't think that at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he played better. He got a little dinged. He'll be fine. Certainly, everyone's going to look to the critical error at the end, and that's fair. It happened, and it solidified the game for Utah, and it was an error. He predetermined something and shouldn't have, and so that led to that. But overall, he played better, and think he delivered the ball when we needed him to deliver it. Now, we need him to play even better. That's the standard around here for quarterbacks is high. He has not met that standard yet, and we don't shy away from saying that. He doesn't shy away from saying that. But as far as making a change, absolutely not.
He's healthy though.
He's bumped and bruised, but he's going to play.
Biggest concern with Central on Saturday?
Well, their defense is lights out. You really look at it. I know that this is one of those things where numbers kind of lie a little bit. You look at the numbers that they're giving up, and then you put on the film. Like take, for instance, their rushing yardage that they're giving up. I think it's over 250 a game that they're giving up. And you put on the film, they're giving up some big runs here and there, but the majority of the carries are 2 and 3 yard runs. So they're lights out, and they have a good secondary that really caps you off in everything you try to do. So that's going to be a challenge. And then their offense is committed to running the football, and they're doing that, and they have a back that is lights out. We know all about him, and I got a ton of respect for him as a player. He really put it to us in the second half last year. So we got to dot our I's and cross our T's versus their running game, and their defense is going to make it tough sledding.
Was there any play or series of plays from Childers last week that you saw that makes you think that he can get to that level you talked about?
Well, in the game, I think we, came out in the third quarter and they started playing us in zone where, the plan worked. I mean, we got him out of press man and got him into some zone where we could throw the ball. And I thought he was throwing the ball really well and executing pretty well at that short time in there. And so I think that, along with everything I've seen in the offseason and the preseason and how he works and how he continues to work, give me a lot of hope that he can, get to that level that we've seen before in practice and glimpses in the game.
I know this is your conference opener, and emphasizing this, but again, the next 3 MAC games are on the road too, so that even makes it more important to get to what's in at home.
I haven't looked at that. Thanks for that though, Jeff. Yeah, no, I really haven't, but obviously anytime you have a home conference game, that's a big deal, man. You got to hold court, you got to hold serve on your own field here, and so that's a big deal if you want to get off to a good start in the conference.
Is it easier or harder, or does it not matter having it earlier this year than it's been in the past, kind of in the middle of these non-conference games?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess traditionally you look at October kind of being, all right, we're in the MAC play, or end of September, you kind of get done with your non-conference. This has just been a complete flip of the switch for us that we're jumping into conference. And I haven't looked past, I know the week after we have to jump back out, but it feels familiar because you're used to playing non-conference and then jumping into conference. So that's been kind of the attitude this week. The difference might be more next week when we have to jump back out and then jump back in, so the second time. But this is kind of familiar right now.
But again, you got to do it twice this year.
Right. So it might be a little different on then. I don't know that yet, but I know this feels normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The other stuff may not, but we'll see when we get there.
Anything else for Coach Carey? All right, thank you, Coach.
No one on the
I
phone?
don't think we have any phone callers today,
All right, good deal. Thanks, guys.
just listeners.
For all four of you, Central Michigan has won the last 4 in this matchup, even though I think you guys have finished with a better record than them at least 3 of those years. Just what's the, attitude going into this year, knowing about that streak?
Max, we'll start with you.
Well, obviously, we want to go out and win, and especially since it's a conference opponent, it's always a big game. And especially since they're on our side of the conference, the West is always good. So we're coming into this game just ready to go get after the conference.
Antonio?
Kind of like what Matt said, we know what our record has been against Central Michigan, and we want to get a victory.
Trey?
Yeah, we know the MAC is starting up this week, and we want to come out and get a win early and start off and getting the ultimate goal, winning the MAC championship.
Matt?
Yeah, obviously conference play starts and we're going in on a conference, but obviously we want to get win the conference because that's what matters. And none of us here on the roster have beat Central Michigan, so.
Does that, how much more does that, or does it motivate you guys more, push you a little more, you know, having the, I guess, knowing the success that they've had against you the last 4 years?
Matt, wanna continue?
I mean, I've only been here a year, but obviously some of these guys have played them a lot more than I have, but I know that no one wants to lose these guys anymore.
Max?
Yeah, so obviously I think I've been here the longest, played them the most. And it's always a really tough fought game, and we know that going in. So, it's not more important than any other conference game. Obviously, because they are on our side of the conference, it's one of our main objectives is to win the conference. So, it's a big game in that respect. But other than that, every game on our side of the MAC is big. So,
Antonio?
It's a conference game, and we want to win every conference game. That's it.
And the streak doesn't really factor into the mindset, it's just a little extra push or anything?
Every week we got an extra push to get better, but it's definitely no.
Trey?
We gotta get better every week. Every MAC game matters. It doesn't matter if it's Central Michigan or Ball State. Every game matters in terms of conference play. So every game matters to us.
The offensive guys, 13 points through 2 games, obviously frustrating. What's the approach to Coach talked about looking at everything. So what's the approach there to maybe correct some things heading into Saturday?
Max?
yeah, so obviously not what we wanted through the first 2 games. And I think the biggest thing for us, we felt like we played better, but we didn't have the results to show for it. And obviously that's a problem. So big emphasis this week is practicing better, especially in the red zone, because we had the ball down there. We just need to finish now.
Trey?
Oh yeah, it just all comes down to practicing harder this week and finding out how to execute in the red zone and start to score points.
Trey, you guys have started in the run game really good in the first half of both games and then kind of trailed off for one reason or another later. Is that something that you've seen or that you're working towards correcting or anything like that?
I necessarily don't know how to answer that question. I guess our coach has seen something that we needed to attack, and we just go out there and try to execute every play that's called.
You guys really have a propensity for blocking kicks these days. How exciting is it, and what kind of spark does that provide when the special teams can come up with a play like that? Because you guys had another one this past week.
Antonio?
Well, special teams is a big part of what we do here, and throughout the week when our game preparation, we like to draw blocks or whatever, especially for punt block return. And then once we get it in the game, it's just a relief. It's a payoff to know that hard work that we put in, it showed.
Not sure who else is in special teams.
I'm sure it's exciting for everybody
Yeah,
to just
okay.
get a play, make
Max,
a play
talk
like
about
that.
what you
set
see
something
when you
up,
see a
right?
block.
Yeah, so obviously special teams is a huge momentum factor in a game, depending one way or the other. So the fact that we've been on the positive end of those recently has been fantastic. I mean, it gives the offense a boost because we have great field position, or for the defense, you block a field goal and points are off the board. I mean, that's huge for the defense. So, and for the offense in general, for the whole team. So it's great being on the positive aspect of special teams.
For the defensive guys, we're kind of focused on the offense and their struggles, but defensively, how close have you guys felt like you've been to reaching your goals the first 2 games and playing at the level that you expect to play at as a defense?
Matt?
I don't think we've reached our goal of what we want to play at. And I think each week we have to get better at certain things. That we have a few little things here and there that we missed that lead to obviously the touchdown against Utah. That's a critical touchdown that we can't give up, and I think we just have to work to get better. I think we're close, but we're not there yet.
Antonio?
I think that we can keep improving every day in practice, and on Saturdays go out and execute the calls and finish every game, finish every play.
Next, coach was talking about how good Ty Harmston's been through the first 2 games. He had high praise for him, from his effort against Utah. What have you liked from him? Because he can do a lot for you in blocking and also as you receiving too on offense.
Yeah, I mean, as a senior, he's really stepped up this year. Obviously, we lost Shane Wyman last year, but Ty's really stepped up, especially with some injuries at that position. He's been getting a lot more playing time, and it's really great to see, especially from my perspective. I'm his roommate, so I love that. I love seeing him do well, and like you said, he's great as a run blocker, and it was nice to see him catch a couple passes there in a game.
Matt, talk about the defensive ends as a group and just what you all, have been able to accomplish through the first couple, obviously, against Utah. There's quite a collection of sacks and TFLs among your group.
Yeah, certainly Utah. I think every defensive end that played got a sack, so that's obviously a great thing for everyone to get in there. And obviously now this week we're getting Josh Corcoran back, so that'll be a huge another step for us as a defensive end.
Is Sutton Smith's energy kind of contagious?
I mean, yeah, certainly. He's always got energy no matter what day it is. He's always jumping around, hitting you. It's just the kind of kid he is, and certainly you feel that.